World War I is an odd time period. The Great War is ironically one of the least represented on the table, with this odd time period of 1900 to 1930, which is just kind of a gray zone. Of all the various types of war games out there, for World War I, there really isn't anything to really grip onto. The only major game I managed to find was called Blood and Valor, but that didn't really capture the sheer scale of which characterized World War I for me. Interestingly enough, though, there were war games for World War I. Namely, these were these massive box hex and chit games, covering the entire Eastern and Western Front as a detailed exploration of the nature of the war, but lost a certain amount of personality that comes with being in the muck. So I set off with an effort to make my own, which eventually became Trenchfoot. In my efforts, I accidentally remembered that diplomacy exists, and I became obsessed, as I usually do. I needed to learn more on those little intricacies of the order system. All of this was added to a pot to become a diceless, RNG-less war game of static warfare. The goal was simple: destroy the enemy. However, this is static warfare, so the initial part of the game is actually relying on you digging your trenches, each side slowly and steadily drawing their lines up before one ready to the attack, forcing the phase to end. From there, either small cubes or dice are placed to represent the brigades, each one in a trench, and finally, the commander, the centerpiece of it all. The main system of resolution, you could say, takes place with both commanders writing their orders, notated as location, unit, action modifier, and time. An example order being Trench 2, Infantry, Attack, Delay 2, Time 3.2, with the most notable of these being time, which is the distance away from the commander of the trench line actually is, meaning that a thinly spread force may be a delayed force, but that may also be the only thing able to hold your objective. But how does this combat actually resolve? Simple, each unit has a defense value and an attack value. When the units attack a trench line, damage is doled out in 3 chunks: DV, AV, DV. The defender gets all units inside of the trench to add their DV together, dealing that much damage to the attackers, while the attackers do 1 tick of damage, then another helping of the defender. Take the humble infantry, for example, with an AV of 1 and a DV of 2. On the attack, they are going to deal 1 damage. On the defense, 4. This is, of course, not factoring in things such as artillery defenses or the machine guns among the defenders, which can shred attackers remorselessly. If organization of a unit ever hits 0, they are actually completely broken and die. But you get to deal your own damage to your own men, so feel free to assign all that damage to the bodies of untrained conscripts who have 0 AV. Now, you are able to restore your unit's health, however you have to draw upon your own supplies, which is very limited. You may have also spent it digging deeper trenches? Tying this all together is something pretty simple: secret information. You as the commander have very little information about what your opponent has and where they actually are. Only thing you are able to see are the number of brigades in each trench, the location of their commander, as well as their artillery. Only through actually throwing your face against them and doing mental math or relying on intelligence can you actually determine who is where. If an opponent has a few men on the field, are they an elite force? Does he have a sizable reserve? Maybe he's trying to play defensively on one of his secret objectives, or maybe he's just stupid. Send in the men, charge that trench line, and figure it out. Trenchfoot is a GUI game, one of the maybe if and or but perhaps of filling a simple little niche and remembering why it doesn't really have anything in it. Does it work though? Hell if I know. Limited testing revealed that it definitely functions. When I had a very dedicated map and a very tolerant friend, this is the eyeglasses kind of game, needing to flip numbers up and down for that ideal state of being. But does it succeed in the send men to their death and watch ill thought out plans goal? Yeah, I think so. My name is Notepad Anon, and this was Trenchfoot. All the links are below. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And a thank you to all the plutocrats, as always, for funding my misadventures. Thank you, and goodbye.